Welcome to the Worshipped Woman podcast. I am your host, kellykristin. I am a life and relationship coach, deep healing facilitator, and subconscious change expert. On this podcast, we will dive deep into personal growth, transformation, and relationships, releasing patterns of toxicity, codependency, and people-pleasing as we explore what it means to be the worshipped woman. If you are ready to heal, embody your worth, and raise your standards in life and love, you are in the right place. I am so happy to have you here. Now, let's get started. Hello, sisters. Welcome back to the Worshipped Woman podcast. Kelly here, and I am so happy that you are with me. And this is the final episode of 2021. I mean, can you really believe this year? I know I feel like it just flew by. It has been such an interesting time just to be participant in life, the past 2 years. What a wild ride it has been. But I have to say that 2021 has been a great year for me personally, and I hope that it has been for you too. And sometimes I think that there's often this societal narrative that talks about like, whew, can't wait, 2021 was a crazy year, and talks about all of these horrible things that happen throughout the year. And it's, if you watch the news and you're in sort of these pop culture, gossiping kind of things, I don't know, it can all seem very negative. And we have a tendency to focus on negative things that have happened and all the crazy things that have happened. But if you are willing to look, there is a whole lot of amazing things that have happened in the world this year, in life this year, and I'm sure in your life as well, because there is always some good within the bad. And if you are currently struggling with where you're at, if you feel like 2021 wasn't a good year for you, that's okay, because you have an opportunity now to shift things. And we always have an opportunity to shift, right? Like, we don't have to wait for a new year to change anything, but there is something quite magic about that shifting of the calendar year, right? Whether it's just all in a collective mindset that we have of a fresh energy approaching, but there is something that we can reach out and grab right now that says, I can make a change right now. And, most people, I personally don't make New Year's resolutions anymore. That's not something that I do. I focus on bigger things of what I want to embody, how I want my life to look, things like that. I guess the reality is that resolutions don't typically work for most people, and most people don't actually change things within themselves from one year to the next. And the reason for that is because change requires a hell of a lot of awareness of yourself. It requires a lot of presence, and it requires you to make new choices. And change is not easy a lot of times, right? We get very stuck in our old patterns. We get stuck in the thoughts that we have. We get stuck in these old ways of being. And if you think that 95% of our life is really run by our subconscious mind, it's run by our subconscious thoughts, our subconscious beliefs, our subconscious identity, what we believe is possible for us, who we believe we are, all of these things are kept beneath our conscious awareness. And when you don't realize this and you're living your life from this place of your unconscious mind leading, nothing is really going to change unless you bring that unconscious identity, the unconscious beliefs, all of these things to your conscious awareness. And then from that point say, ooh, I don't really like this. I don't want to believe this anymore. I don't want to believe that I have limitations. I don't want to believe what I've been believing. I don't want to live the life that I've been living. Well, guess what? Then you have got some work to do. And now is the time. I was having a conversation with a client just the other day, and this is something that is sort of a repeating conversation with a lot of people, clients, friends, everybody, we get stuck in these old patterns. We get stuck in playing small, and then we get very afraid to take chances, right? We might have an idea of like, I want to move. I want to go someplace else. I want to experience something new. And we have this something inside of us that lights up when we think about it. We get that smile on your face. I'm sure you have felt this before. You think about something and go, yeah, I wish I could do that. And then you let your little fear-based mind come in and say, yeah, but you can't because of this, 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 and this. And what if this happens? Or what if that happens? What if this? What if that? Blah, 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 blah. And you listen to that instead of listening to that thing that is pulling you inside, that thing that says, yeah, there's something better here. There's something different here. There's something that you should go after. What if in 2022 you decided to listen to that voice instead? What if in 2022 you said, you know what? I'm going to go the way that feels scary. I'm going to do that thing that lights me up inside, but I feel so afraid. Because that's what's going to change your life, right? Following that voice inside despite the fear. Everybody I know, including myself, that has accomplished anything, that has done things that they wanted to do, did so with the fear. There is no such thing as not having the fear. There is no such thing as doing something that is out of your comfort range, that is not going to feel uncomfortable, right? That's the thing. Your comfort zone is called your comfort zone because it feels normal, familiar, comfortable. Anything outside of that is going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel afraid. You're going to feel like, I don't know what I'm doing. But guess what? The secret is that nobody really knows what they're doing. Nobody really knows what's going on. We're all just playing it by ear. We're all just trying to figure it out along the way. But the one thing that I know about life, the one thing that I know is that we all have a limited time here. We all have a finite amount of time. You can have the most money, you can have the most everything, the material goods, all that, but guess what? You still have a limited amount of time. What are you doing with it? When I really started thinking about this aspect of life, that I had a limited amount of time, that this was my one life, this is what woke me up. Like when I was in a very toxic, abusive relationship, I started thinking about, God, is this how I want to spend my life? Now, there was a time period when I was in the midst of that, really stuck deep inside a trauma bond, really stuck with not having a lot of personal awareness. I really thought to myself, man, I got stuck in this somehow and there's no way for me to get out. And I was really stuck in that victimhood. And I want you to listen to me here, because if you are currently thinking those thoughts, that is a victim-based mindset. The victim-based mindset says, this is what I got and there is nothing that I can do about it. And I was very much stuck in that for a long time. Slowly, I allowed myself to start thinking thoughts like, what if? What if something could be different? What if I don't want to be with this person anymore? What if I don't want my life to look like this? And then that what if turned into, wait a second, I deserve better than this. Wait a second, what am I doing? And I woke up and I said, if this is my life, why am I living it like this? If this is the one shot that I get in this consciousness, in this body, living life right now, why am I wasting it with people who don't treat me well? Why am I wasting it in places that I don't want to be, in jobs I don't want to be doing? Why am I wasting my life doing this when I can make a new choice? When I can move across the country, when I can leave this person that's been hurting me, where I can say, no, I am not settling anymore for love that doesn't feel good. I am not settling anymore for people that don't appreciate me. I am not settling anymore for any of it. And that decision is what changed my entire life. That decision is what led me to be sitting here speaking to you today. That decision is what you can make for yourself right now. You do not have to wait. You do not have to wait. You make the decision and you take action on that decision. And that is the magic. There's nothing you have to do ahead of that except for start believing, really believing that something else can be possible for you. You don't have to know how, right? We oftentimes get stuck in the how's this going to work? How am I going to do this? How is this? How? And then our little monkey minds take over and start coming in with all the fear and saying, well, you can't do it this way. You can't do it that way. You can't do it this way. The how is one step at a time. The how is one day at a time. And it appears. You couldn't tell me 7 years ago when I really started my personal journey of awareness, of awakening, of becoming the woman that you was speaking to you now. You couldn't have told me how this was going to happen, right? I just knew that I wanted something different for my life. And I knew that I needed to make new choices, and I needed to do things that I was afraid to do. And I needed to stop wasting my time. And that principle of time being limited is a driving factor in my life. And what I mean by that is when I know I have a limited amount of time, I question, do I want to hang out with this person, right? I remember when I was dating, and if I started getting the feeling of like, gosh, I could be learning something right now. I could be doing something else right now. I could be enjoying myself right now. Do I want to be with this person? If the answer was no, that was it. I would just never see them again, right? I don't need to be here with spending my time with you. My time is my greatest investment. Think about that. The time that you are spending in your life is your greatest investment. Where are you putting that? Where are you putting your energy, your time, your commitment? What if in 2022 you said, my energy, my time, my commitment is going to me? What do you think would happen in your life if you started following your joy? What do you think would happen in your life if you started following your joy? And if you stopped buying into this negative perception that society likes to throw in on us, that everything is bad and the world is crazy and going to shit and everything is terrible. And I'm not saying that bad and terrible things don't happen in the world, because they do every single day. And if you focus on that, then that's where your energy is going. Or you can focus on the good. Or you can choose to see things from a different perspective, right? We have so much choice in the perspective with how we see life, with how we see the things that have happened to us. And I want you to understand that this really is a choice, your perspective, right? You have a choice on what you make things mean in your life. And I think I've probably done a podcast episode on this, right? It's like the power, like this is the superpower that many people don't realize they have, is that you decide what things mean in your life. If you've been in terrible, toxic relationships, what does that mean? You get to choose if that means that there's something wrong with you, that you're broken, that you're unlovable, or you get to choose that means, man, I've learned a hell of a lot about what I don't want to experience and love anymore. I've had that in my background, but now I'm going to use that and everything I've been through as sort of a guideline of what I never want to experience again, and choose what I get to experience now. Do you see that perspective shift? You have a choice to see things as problems or possibilities, right? You have a choice to say, this has been my past and I'm stuck with it. That's just the way it is. That's the way life goes for me. That's how it is. That's how it's going to be. Or, whew, that's how it's been. But you know what? I'm going to change that now. This is not going to be my life anymore. I'm going to get the love that I really want. I'm going to love myself no matter what. Not despite of everything that I've been through, I'm going to love myself fiercely, adamantly, aggressively, so that the world knows how to do it. Do you understand how much power you have in your perspective, in choosing your perspective, in choosing what you make things that happened in your life mean? But you've got to actually take the time to notice. You've got to actually take the time to be self-aware, to notice what it is that you are telling yourself, what it is that you keep repeating, right? Because as I was talking about the subconscious earlier, 95% of our day-to-day is run completely off of our subconscious beliefs, our subconscious identity, subconscious meaning beneath our conscious awareness, right? But you have the power to become self-aware enough where you are noticing what your mind is telling you. Isn't that a trip? Really, if you think about it, we get to observe ourselves, observing ourselves. It's wild, but that's the power of consciousness, right? So you get to observe the thoughts that you're having, the feelings that you're having. And you know what? You get to stop thinking a thought that you don't want to think anymore, right? When you have these thoughts that have been on autopilot, right? Maybe you have that voice inside that tells you that you're not good enough, you're not lovable, you're not this, you're not that, this person doesn't like you. All of these thoughts that we just have on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. You have the power to stop that in the middle of a thought and go, oh yeah, I don't think that way anymore. I don't want to think that way anymore. What do I want to think? What do I want to believe? Who do I want to be? You have power here. You do not have to remain a victim to your life, but to not be a victim, you have to say, I'm going to take responsibility for this. I'm going to take responsibility for myself. I'm going to take responsibility for my life. I'm going to take responsibility for my relationships, and I am going to change this because nobody else can do it for you. No one else can do it for you. People can help you. I can help you. I can guide you. I can say, here, this is how I did it. Here, this is how you can get into your subconscious mind. Here, let's do this hypnotherapy session together. Of course, I can help you, but I can't do it for you. I can't live your life for you. Nobody else can live your life for you, and nobody can save you from yourself. And when you really, really get that, and when you really get that time is limited here, that you don't have forever. We don't know when our time is coming to an end. No one does. We can't know that. All I know is that it's limited. And when you really start embracing that fact and asking yourself, am I living the life that I want to live? Am I having the relationships that I want to have? And not just romantic relationships, friendships, family relationships. You know, I often talk about how I'm not very close to my family, and that's just how it is. And I won't go into super details on things, but that's just how it is with my family. And yet, I have a much better relationship with my family when I do interact with them than I've ever had. Why? Because I decided that that's what I wanted. I decided that I understand that people can love me to the capacity of their ability and that it has nothing to do with me, and I can love them anyway. And I can show up in love, right? When I'm there, when I'm present, and I don't have to have a super close relationship that's never going to be. And that's all okay. But we have so much power when we decide what things mean in our life. We have so much power when we decide, how do I want to be? How do I want my life to be? What do I want it to look like? And then choose to step into that version of ourselves every day. Choose to step into that woman that has what you want to have, right? But it's time to get clear on that. It's time to get clear on what it is that you really want for yourself. So it's the end of the year. Do an inventory. First, I want you to look back and actually look at, what have you accomplished this year? Top 5 things that you have accomplished this year. And they don't have to be huge milestones or something that you would consider really big. They can be the small things. Like, you know, I used to get really triggered when this would happen in my life, but now I pause, I breathe, and I can move through it. Wow, amazing accomplishment. Seriously, take the time to write down 5 things that you are proud of yourself for, that you accomplished this year. Looking back. And then take the time to get clear on where your happiness is currently at. Are you happy with your relationships, your intimate relationships, your family relationships, your friendships? And if not, well, what would that actually look like? What do you want it to look like? What is it that you want to create? Spend time getting clear on that vision, and then ask yourself, who do you have to be to live in that world? Who do you have to be? What needs to shift within you? Because as much as we want other people to change, the only thing that changes others is changing our perception of them, changing how we approach them, changing our energy towards them. That's the magic. You can't change anybody else, but you can change yourself. And that's what's going to create the ripple effect of everything in your life. That's what makes everything different. You do. So I hope that you actually take some time to really think about who you've been and who you want to be. And then, of course, take it one step at a time, one day at a time, moving towards that version of yourself. And if you are a woman who is wanting to say goodbye to toxic relationships for good, completely shift out of that cycle, really, really go deep into why you have found yourself in toxic relationships, understanding trauma bonds, understanding what happens to your mind, your brain, your nervous system, and you want to rewire your nervous system. You want to rewire your subconscious mind. You want to actually learn how to embody this new version of yourself. You want to learn how to embody a woman that gets the love she wants, that thrives in life. Then I invite you to look at Heal, Rise, Thrive. I will put a link in the show notes. This next round I'm going to be starting in early February, but there are limited spaces. This is my group program for women wanting to heal from toxic relationships. It is incredibly unique in the fact that it is my ICE method, which is the right information, subconscious change work, and embodiment work that is actually going to help you shift on a subconscious level, on a cellular level, so that you don't have to repeat the patterns that you've been in, that you can leave the people pleasing behind, you can leave the toxic relationships behind, and you can feel peace and love for yourself. If you are on that journey and you want to do it with myself, a woman who has been through it, and a small group of women that are going through the same thing as you currently, then I invite you to check out the link in the show notes, or you can go to my Instagram. My Instagram is at Miss kellykristin. And you can find it there, the link in my bio. Of course, you can always send me a DM. And do me a favor, if you liked today's episode, if you felt like, yeah, this is what I needed to hear going into 2022, take a screenshot, tag me on Instagram, let me know that you're listening. And if you know another sister that needs to hear this message, I would be so, so grateful if you could share it. I am sitting here truly wishing you the best 2022 that you could possibly imagine. You deserve that. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you soon.